Hey Facebook friends, how you guys doing? So today we're going to get into a topic. It's going to be a little touchy on certain sensitivities about sexuality. But the reason I want to do it is because I've been counseling a couple of couples within the last couple of weeks, and the main issue is with their kids and porno. So I wanted to do a video that would assist them and also assist anyone else who has kids and to help with this idea. Okay, so today's topic, and we'll talk about dating and porn, but we're not going to talk about if you're like 35 and older. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it in the context of teenagers to pre-adults age group. Hey, what's going on, guys? There. So let's get right into it. I'll go into the board and give you some outline of how I diagrammed it, and then we'll come back and talk about it more in detail. Okay? All right, let's do that. All right, so when we talk about dating and porn, we're talking about male and woman. Now, again, I'm traditional, so excuse me. So you can apply it however you want to apply it. Believe it or not, we're starting at the age of 10 for males and 12 for women. And we're going to talk about the word desire. Now I'll get into that in a little bit. From 10, they're getting ready to get into high hormones, and then later in age, low hormones. With women, though, it's low hormones and then it gets high hormones, but it is basically on reproduction side of it. So, man, when they're in high hormone, it's about pleasure. Women, low hormone, it's about relationship. High, when it gets to the low, it gets about the ability to perform. And then for the women, it's the ability of romance. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. Now, out of all of this, where are they getting their education? Well, here, porno, all forms. Here's the issues, and we're going to talk about this in detail. Not education, it's the act to perform physical issues and emotion issues. All right, so we got this. Let me get you a wide screen here so you can screenshot this thing if you want. Boom. All right, let's go back. Okay, let's talk about this thing here. When it comes to males, believe it or not, in today's technology advancement, starting at age 10 and going for males, their hormones is kicking off, and the freedom of looking up porn on their social media or their smartphones that parents are giving them, it is there. Now, as they get up in age, their main concern because of their high hormone is pleasure. But the pleasure is in two forms. It's one, they're looking at it as an education component, but they're also looking at it in the education in how to with their mates. And that's the issue when it comes to porno and the freedom of a young kid that parents are not talking about, and they're not getting the information from everywhere else. They're using their smartphones and they're looking at it as pleasure for me, and then pleasure of must be how a woman is supposed to be pleasure. But when it comes to a woman, she's looking at porn now at a young age, and later, of course, but she's looking at it in the context of how do I please a man to capture the man for the relationship. And that's how porno is being used on that scope. So from 10 to 12, man and woman, that's the age group of starting be looking into porno. Now, as they get into the teen age, and then let's say from 16, 20s, right? They're looking seriously for relationships. Guys are looking at porno, and here's education number one. The issues with dating, the porno, as far as porno, it's the education of what I just said. They're looking at it, and they're looking at it as, how do I please my woman? A woman is looking at it, and this is how I should keep my man. The problem with education and using porno as education is if you, the parents, or we as a community don't look at this and think about this issue and talk about it, they're not going to know the best way of education for the relationship is communication. It's, hey, how do I if I do this to you, how am I pleasing you? Or if I don't do this, what do you want? So communication is the key. This is the key when it comes to the first part of the young kids going into dating. They're not communicating of what pleasure is because they don't know what pleasure is, because only thing they know of pleasure is when they look online and look at the porno side of it. Okay? Hey, how's it going? Pamela, Blanca, Full. Okay. When they okay, so let's put education on the side right here. There's number 2, physical. When porno is introduced to a guy or a girl in dating, so let's say they've been in porno for a while and they're being pleased through the porno system of pleasure. When they actually physically meet another person, they're going to have issues. The issue is the pleasure aspect of it. If a guy is used to masturbating a certain way, the way he holds himself, the way he strokes himself, and so on, then when the woman applies it, the woman is going to think, I'm not pleasing him because the same system or the application of it is not there. On the flip side is if a woman is using a vibrator and all of the other toys that goes along with it, a lot of times guys can't please that woman because of the toys that's involved in porno by itself, into itself. So we have that physical problem when it comes to dating, meeting someone for the first time. Guy is not being pleasure, woman is not being pleasure. When they get to each other, there is pleasure. Of course, I'm not denying there's pleasure, but the overall orgasm sense of it is a lot of times not there because of the stresses that goes along with the exterior part of that porn brings to the table. Now let's talk about emotion. Hey, Joan. All right, when it comes to the emotional side of porn, when it comes to the guy, he's looking at porn in context of this is how I'm supposed to please my woman. But if he doesn't please the woman, then his stresses of not pleasing the woman skyrockets. And then because of that, he gets into a stress position called anxiety, because all of those other issues that goes along with it. And his body just seriously just starts to shut down because emotionally he can't figure out how to please her. Now, on the other side is the same issue. Emotionally, if he is using porn and he is ejaculating, masturbating with himself, then of course she's going to emotionally feel like there's nothing, I'm not attractive to you. So how do we work these things out? Okay, so porn is an issue. It's not an education. It will affect your physical side of the relationship. It will also affect the emotional side of the relationship. How do we control that? How do we fix that? In context, we need to educate our kids to let them know that porn is not an education position. But first, parents, you need to realize that they're out there looking and they're trying to figure out how to capture a relationship, how to get that together. Secondly, you got to show them what a relationship is. It's communication. And in communication, we need to talk about what pleasure is, what a relationship, what sexuality is, and so on. And then 3, emotionally, you have to give yourself a break. If you are in a position of porno and using it in masturbations and so on, you have to give yourself a break from that, get a relationship, start communicating, and then from that position, work it out within each other. Okay? Because what you see, and let me give you an example, even what you see in porno is not pleasure. If you have a woman and she's being penetrated and the guy's doing his thing, if she is then starting to touch herself and assist her rubbing herself, then you know she's not 100% getting pleased by that guy. It's an act. So we have to educate, in context, we got to educate the understanding of what pleasure really is. And that's what we need to start talking about. All right, so when it comes to dating, porno is a big issue. It's not education, it's physically problematic, and it's emotional problematic. And this does affect, in part, to a relationship. We think what physically is, education is, financial is, and then now sexuality is. If we don't realize the sexuality of how the danger of porno is when it comes to relationship, especially early on in the relationships, from the teens to the young adults, then you're really not going to have a strong relationship in the latter end, because of the lack of understanding of how to please your mate that is there. All right, so that's just the basics of it. I'll get more into it later on as questions come. I know I have some questions, so we'll get into it later. But I just wanted to throw it out just so you can get a general idea of the science behind porno and the dangers of porno when it comes to the early ages and stages of dating and what the expectation is. All right, so this is Dr. Bagley. I will talk to you guys later. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to give me a call. I'll be more than happy to talk to you guys and work it out. All right, till next time. Bye-bye.